Friends, today we'll discuss the play Strife as a social drama or as a social tragedy. In today's times, we find a different type of a play or say a different type of a tragedy in which there is no dignified hero. There is only a common erring individual who struggles against the forces of society and is finally crushed down by them. There is no villain, and yet there is tremendous suffering and a sense of human wastage which move our hearts. So, in this way, strife is a typical social tragedy of Galsworthy. It's the story of an industrial conflict between the workers of Trinartha Tin Plate Works, who remained on strike for more than 4 months, and all the efforts to bring about a compromise were rejected by the two parties. The chairman of this factory, John Anthony, and the laborers' leader, Roberts, because they both are fanatics and they don't want to budge an inch from their positions. Earlier, dramatists based their tragedies on the fundamental human emotions of love, jealousy, ambition, or the desire for revenge. But social tragedy, on the other hand, is caused by lack of harmony in social or domestic life. In strife, all the troubles are caused by a conflict between two classes of people in the modern economic order. The employers want to pay as little as possible, and the laborers want to get as much as possible. The result is a conflict in which the worst sufferers are women and children. The trouble is caused by the lack of harmony and goodwill. Both sides lack a spirit of compromise. They remain adamant. They are fanatics. In social tragedy, all the action is on the human plane. Whereas in classical tragedy, fate played an important part in bringing about the tragedy. The hero is a powerful personality who comes into conflict with fate and is destroyed by it. For example, Oedipus is a great hero who is punished because he breaks a divine law. He is ignorant about his parentage, and so he kills his father and marries his own mother. Although he has committed the crime in ignorance, but he is punished for the same. The effect of this tragedy depends on the fact that man is powerless before fate or say destiny. And so when someone is punished by fate, the spectators and the readers are moved to a feeling of awe and terror. In a social tragedy, there is no hero and no villain. Like in Shakespeare, play, his tragedies are very different. In Shakespeare's tragedy, character is destiny. The hero is a great person, but he has a tragic flaw in his character which causes the tragedy. For example, Othello is a great general and a noble person, but he has one weakness, that is jealousy. Iago, the villain, exploits Othello's weakness, and this results in disaster for everyone. But in Strife, there is no hero and no villain. There are common people, common characters. In every factory, there are directors and labor leaders, like we have Anthony and Roberts in this play. And we see that both these characters, they do not attain the heights of, say, Hamlet or Othello or Caesar. Robert says that Anthony is a robber who represents tyranny and is responsible for the sufferings of the laborers. But Mrs. Roberts herself says that he is a good old man. And when Enid, daughter of Anthony, tells him about the sufferings of Annie Roberts, Anthony says, I quote, give her what she wants, poor woman. But he is not prepared to concede any of the demands of the laborers because this is a part of his principles as a capitalist. He thinks that it is his duty to defend the capitalist class and the economic stability of the country against the encroachments of labor, or say labor class, the workers. Thus, there is no villain in its strife, and yet thousands of women and children shiver in cold without food and fire. Actually, in strife, the conflict is between two strong personalities. They are both men of principles and are ready to fight and suffer for their ideals. And in this way, this becomes a conflict between two ideologies, capital and labor, or say capitalists and workers. Anthony does not look at the strike as an attempt by the poor laborers to get a few more pounds as wages. He looks at it as an attempt by the laboring class to destroy the comfort and luxuries of the capitalist class and create chaos and anarchy in a country. On the other hand, Roberts also does not look at the strike as a means to get only more wages, but as a fight of labor against the blood sucking monster of capitalism. And this conflict generates hatred between the two classes. Madge and Annette are both good persons with the best of intentions, but they start hating each other because of the conflict between the two classes. In Strife, Galsworthy does not take sides between the conflicting forces. He remains objective. The case for capital is stated as effectively in the speech of Anthony as the case for labor is stated in the powerful speech of Roberts. Galsworthy remains absolutely impartial. He is not a propagandist or a preacher. In the play, both sides suffer because of the strike, and at the end, the leaders of both sides are disowned by their own followers and are broken in spirit. Thus, we can say that strife is a social tragedy which emphasizes the waste and suffering caused by a lack of harmony in society. When extremists like Anthony and Roberts oppose each other, there is bound to be strife and suffering. And what do the two sides gain from it? Out of this prolonged struggle? Nothing at all. The final terms of the agreement are the same as had been suggested by Tench and Harness. To the two sides had been rejected by them before the fight began. And the result is sheer waste and tremendous suffering. So, in this way, strife is a social drama representing common people, and it's a social tragedy which brings colossal waste and tremendous suffering for the common people. So, in this way, today we have discussed this play as a social drama. Thank you, students. That's all.